How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another show. This is You May Roscoe, and I am Roscoe. And today's show, we're going to be taking a look at a video that's labeled The 10 Biggest Freaks of Nature in NFL History. And this ought to be very, very interesting. You know what I mean? Because I have, as I'm sure, everybody else out there has in mind a few people who they know for certain should be on this list. But I'm more than certain that there's probably going to be like some surprises here and there. So we'll check this out. Before we do that, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't already that they please subscribe to the channel and also make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be reminded of future shows every time they're published. And without holding this up, let's go ahead and check this thing out.
The NFL is filled with some of the world's most explosive and physically gifted athletes. Even in the land of titans, some players have made us reimagine what we thought was humanly possible. These players have size, strength, and speed combinations that look like they were made in a laboratory. Today, we have the 10 biggest freaks of nature in NFL history. Bo Jackson. There was nobody like this guy. Royals GM Art Stewart once said, "You have to rub your eyes to believe what you're seeing." The legend of Bo Jackson is best told through quotes of those that saw the phenomenon firsthand. His folklore grows with every story. More and more jaw-dropping fables have come out throughout the years. Frank White.
Yeah, I have to stop this for a second. Because, like, to me, in my mind, and this is just me, but I would have thought, and I don't know if they're actually like, if they're supposed to be ranking these guys in order, you know what I mean? But like, Bo would be number one to me. so that is crazy because like nobody else has done what Bo has, and I'm talking about at like there's been other two sport dudes, but not elite in both, so Bo was like one of the best running backs and one of the best sluggers at the same time. So I don't know how, but we'll see.
White said that he really did play baseball with Superman. After winning a Heisman and starring in 3 sports at Auburn, Bo entered the NFL draft. Now the biggest urban legend in NFL history, Jackson ran a 40-yard dash in a scout clocked 4.12 seconds. If it sounds unreal, it's because the fastest time ever clocked at the NFL Combine is 4.22 seconds. Bo smashed that time by nearly a tenth of a second. Along with his mythical athletic feats, Nike helped turn Bo Jackson into a sports megastar, and the slogan, "Bo Knows," transcended into a pop culture phenomenon. Bo starred in both football and baseball, still the only person to be both an NFL and MLB All-Star. There has never been an athlete able to hit 500-foot home runs and bust 90-yard-plus touchdowns other than Bo. Even though his career was abruptly shortened by a hip injury, Bo knows, and everybody else knows, that there will never be anybody like Bo.
Yeah, I before. Oh wow, Julius. Okay, yeah, no, the injury that he sustained, I think that injury really like took some luster off of what should have been one of the, if not the most celebrated athlete damn near ever. I always think about, and I hate that we have to have these what ifs with some of these dudes who they never saw their full potential because of injury. It's one thing when, these guys, because we've seen some who they haven't met their potential due to some other stuff, and that's kind of on them, at the end of the day, maybe some things out of their control, but for the most part, it's in their control. But some a-hole took, it wasn't, I guess you can't say some a-hole, but the injury just took something away from us, man. But let's see what's up with Julius Peppers.
Julius Peppers. The Wilson, North Carolina product was a three-sport star in high school, lettering in football, basketball, and track. Unblockable at defensive end, Pep also played running back in high school, scoring 46 touchdowns in his career. Peppers attended the University of North Carolina and was selected as a freshman All-American. The greatest testament to Peppers' athleticism was walking on to the legendary UNC basketball team while still dominating on the football field. Julius Peppers is one of two people to ever play in both an NCAA Final Four and a Super Bowl. Peppers was a large man, measuring in at 6 foot 7 inches and weighing 285 pounds. Drafted by the Carolina Panthers, quarterback Derek Anderson was quoted as saying, "Julius might be the biggest person I've ever seen. I think God really built him like this. Perfect specimen," and said, "Here, don't mess it up." You don't make this list by just being big, however. Julius ran a ridiculous 4.7 40-yard dash at the combine. As soon as he arrived in the NFL, Peppers produced a Rookie of the Year season, notching multiple 3-sack games. In one of his greatest plays ever, Julius Peppers bent what was imaginable, catching Joey Galloway from behind in a full sprint. Not only did Peppers run stride for stride with a receiver, he ran with the fastest receiver in the NFL. Peppers was an anomaly and is the only player in NFL history to record 100 sacks and 10 interceptions in a career. Players rave about Peppers' ability to produce late into his career. He just seems to be ageless. Peppers
this dude, he was. I remember him when he played with the Bears. Immediately I was thinking, in the beginning of that Bears tenure, he was still, I guess, relatively young, I suppose, if you consider like 30 or whatever it was by the time he got to the Bears. But I thought he would have lost like a good chunk of, what he had in the early beginning, just because you get older and you slow down a little bit. But he was still wreaking havoc. Like he was a wrecking ball out there. But let's keep it going.
Dominated the game with such mobility and size, his name became synonymous with freak of nature, Randy Moss. No player on this list struck fear into the opposition like Randy Moss. Moss jumped over defenders to pull down passes and effortlessly glided past defenders on his way to the end zone. When asked who most resembles his game, Moss replied with, "Nobody." It's the correct response. Leading up to the draft, Randy posted one of the most stunning workouts of all time, walking off to a collective jaw drop from the crowd. Moss showed off 4.2 speed, combined with a 50-inch vertical at 6'4", slipping to 21st overall pick in the 1998 draft. Randy Moss didn't need time to groom, immediately making everybody pay for passing on him. His first game was his
50-inch vertical. And like you don't even, nobody in the NBA has that. At that time, or I don't know, man, what the hell, dude? And I was so happy that I was actually I live in Chicago. I'm a Chicagoan. But I had lived in Minnesota at one point, and I was I was living in Minnesota when he was still in his Minnesota days, but I didn't catch even though I was watching that season and watched. I liked Moss, but I wasn't a Minnesotan that rookie season. I was still here, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed those Minnesota days. Because he was on fire. Just never seen nothing like this before. Never ever seen nothing like this before. Only criticism I used to have is that, or a lot of people probably, is the whole going over the middle type of thing. He wasn't really one of those guys, but why do you need to be one of those guys when you could get 80 and 90-yard bombs? There's no need to go across the middle a whole lot where you could change the reflection of the game with one play. Like I remember him doing on, I think that was Dallas that one night. It was I believe it was his rookie season, but when he had 3 catches and every single one was for a touchdown, like long ones. He exploded on it. They probably could have talked about it in a second. Let's see.
His first of 39 multi-touchdown games. It wouldn't take long before defensive backs were giving Moss miles of space at the line of scrimmage, in fear he would run past them like they were standing still. His 17 touchdowns as a rookie is still an NFL record. His play coined a phrase heard at every playground: "You got mossed." You'd only hear that when a player would outmuscle a catch over any other player. Moss possessed massive hands that could each pluck the ball at the highest point individually, a scoring machine. Moss was the leading receiver for two of the greatest offenses of all time, the 1998 Vikings and the 2011 Patriots. Bob Pruitt, his head coach at Marshall, once said, "However fast you think he is, he's faster than that." Randy knew he was the best athlete on the field, once telling his QB, "Just throw it above his head. He can't jump with me." Moss even had a signature shoe line with Jordan called the Super Freaks. Fitting. Larry Allen, the strongest NFL player ever. Larry Allen was an unknown out of Sonoma State. Allen dominated Division II football with legendary stories of him knocking defenders unconscious with his blocks. Leveling any player in his way followed him into the NFL draft. Many pundits scoffed at these tales, saying his success was due to the lack of competition he faced. At 6'3", 325 pounds, Allen possessed nimble feet and versatility to succeed at all 5 offensive line positions. Drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, Allen was forced into the starting lineup because of injury and never looked back. Allen became arguably the greatest offensive lineman in NFL history, a dominant force unlike anything the league has.
Dude, man, if it's one thing, and I watched those Cowboys teams from like the mid '90s. That offensive line for them, which was led by this guy. But I remember that offensive line was like so crazy good, dude. And they had to be good because, I mean, they ended up turning Emmett basically into the leading rusher ever. You know, he got a lot of those yards there. But Emmett wasn't even like, and I don't want to take nothing away from Emmett. Like, he was great. But as far as great running backs go, you know what I mean? Like, there were so many better ones, you know what I mean? I always imagine, like, if Barry Sanders or somebody like that was to have, like, an offensive line like he had with this guy, you know what I mean? Like, Barry would have broke that record probably in, like, 6 years. Like 6 years of running, and it was over with. You know what I mean? You get a line like this, but let's keep it going.
Ever seen. Larry Allen was able to bench press over 700 pounds and squat 900. In one of the most ludicrous performances, 36-year-old Larry Allen did 43 reps of 225 on the bench press in a Pro Bowl skills challenge, earning him the crown of NFL's strongest man. But he wasn't only just big and strong. In a playoff game, Allen ran down a would-be pick six from a linebacker. Afterwards, nobody was talking about the magnitude of the play, but instead, Allen's absurd athleticism. There aren't stats to compare offensive linemen, but there isn't any doubt the impact that Larry Allen had in his career, riding roughshod over any defender he went against by being bigger, stronger.
Pushing, dude, like the rest in peace to Derek Thomas, man, one of the greats. But some of these guys he pushing around, man. Derek Thomas. I saw John Randall. Was that his name? I know it's the Randall guy that used to play with Minnesota. He was a dope defensive end. Who else I seen? Warren Sapp. You know what I mean? Like pushing them around like they nobody.
And faster. Deion Sanders. Neon Deion, or Primetime, if you prefer, knew he was the most gifted player on the field. Sanders played for 9 different professional sports teams across 2 different sports, and is the only player to play in both a World Series and a Super Bowl. FSU coach Bobby Bowden refers to Prime as the measuring stick for athletic ability. Sanders lettered in track, football, and baseball during his time with FSU. Sanders is not as physically imposing as others on this list, but not many come close to the endless things Deion could do. Deion moved with world-class track speed and could effortlessly change direction on a whim. Sanders shut down prolific receivers every week. People didn't realize that he didn't go to one NFL training camp in his first 6 seasons because it was baseball season. In 1996, Sanders became the first modern player to be a starter on both sides of the ball, playing receiver for the Dallas Cowboys as well. Sanders is one of 2 people to score a touchdown 6 different ways. Deion doubled as a kick returner and was so dangerous the league colluded to never kick to him again. Another
Ooh, that was the least of it. You talking about that? Him as a kick returner was like nothing we ain't never seen before. Him as a DB in his prime, dude. I remember those seasons when they just wouldn't throw to his side at all. Like if Deion over there, we throw this way. That's it. Like we're not even attempting. So like, you know, excuse me, I'm a little sick, but I'm trying to power through this. But yeah, excuse me, but yeah, Deion was something else.
Another fabled story of the NFL. Sanders showed up to the combine to run the 40 and immediately after got a ride back to the airport, knowing he cemented his spot. There may be others on the list, but there can only be one primetime. Calvin Johnson.
These commercials, it'll be over in a sec, but Calvin Johnson.
Many people didn't get to see what type of player Calvin Johnson was going to be in college. In an offense that rarely passes, the NFL knew what was coming. Johnson has an athletic profile that was aptly described by his nickname, Megatron. He looked inhuman, like the bad guy in a scary movie. Most 6'5", 240-pound receivers built their game around boxing out opponents at the catch point to secure passes, but Calvin Johnson regularly blew by secondaries with 4.3 speed. Calvin is still the only 6'5" player to run under 4.4 at the combine. Scout Gil Brandt claimed he had the best broad jump he's ever seen. Almost 12 feet. Defenders had no chance in covering Johnson's freakish blend of length and speed. Calvin is in the conversation of the greatest receivers ever, even though he retired at age 30 after just 9 seasons. One particular season, in 2012, Calvin Johnson shattered the single-season receiving record by over 100 yards. Teams were doubling and even triple covering Johnson in an offense without many other threats, and it didn't matter. Calvin Johnson was a monster and an aberration, combining Greek god physical traits with soft hands to snag the ball anywhere within an acre of him. Injuries and inept franchise relationships shortened Calvin's career, but they weren't short on miraculous moments. Herschel Walker, the universe.
This dude. This dude, man, you know, he's turned out to be kind of a clown. Since his playing days have been over, but I do remember like Herschel being like he was a dope athlete. I do remember that much, you know what I mean? So I kind of called him. I don't remember much of the beginning of his career. I may have been too young, but the middle and the end of it, I do remember some of that stuff. So let's keep it going.
University of Georgia running back is recognized as one of the most dominant college football players ever, and his story to success is just as interesting. Growing up poor without access to weights, Walker would do push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and dips at the house. Pretty typical, except he did them in sets of thousands. He was the pinnacle of athletics in Georgia, winning 4 state championships in track, including shot put. He was the fastest and the strongest person around. As soon as he arrived at UGA, he became the centerpiece of their football program. Defenders were unable to bring Walker to the ground, possessing the ability to bounce off would-be tacklers and track speed to leave defenders in his dust. After 3 Heisman-worthy seasons, Walker won it in his junior season. He amassed over 50 touchdowns in 3 years, going pro into the upstart USFL. Walker was the best player by a large amount during its 3-year existence. Once the USFL folded, Walker moved on to the Dallas Cowboys, already a living legend. While he didn't have as much success in the NFL, he enjoyed unprecedented running back longevity, playing another 12 seasons. During that span, he only missed 4 games. Walker retired the only player to get 4,000 yards 3 different ways: running, receiving, and returning. As if the beating he took in the NFL wasn't enough, at age 48, Walker pursued a career in the MMA. He went on to fight 2 fights and won them both, a true testament to his physical freakiness. Jim Brown.
Here we go. The man, the myth, the legend. Let's get it. Oh, here we go.
People know who Cleveland legend Jim Brown is, arguably the greatest football player of all time. But what most people don't know is he's also one of the greatest lacrosse players to ever live, saying himself that he was probably better at lacrosse than football. Brown lettered in 6 sports in high school and 4 sports at Syracuse, before going on to be a 3-time NFL MVP and the only player to average 100 yards rushing in his career. Brown still holds the record for most 3-touchdown and 4-touchdown games in NFL history. Unable to be brought down and unwilling to step out of bounds, Jim Brown reset every standing NFL record in 9 short seasons. Ray Lewis called him the most dominant player to ever step on any field. Master of the...
Agreed. And I don't even know I wasn't there, but the legend just is enough for me. And the numbers, I mean, men, women lie, the numbers don't.
Fly sweep. Brown could reverse field and run away from opponents, sidestep would-be tacklers, or physically impose his will in head-on collisions. Marcus Allen once said, "Forget running backs. It's like every player is measured against Jim Brown, because he was the touchdown, the measuring stick. He was the greatest player that ever lived." Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe is the pioneer athlete. The modern history of athletics begins with Thorpe. Not only a superstar NFL player, you can name the sport, and Jim Thorpe was the best at it from 1910 to the 1930s.
That's crazy, right? And I've heard Thorpe's name, but and I'm sure I've you know, it's one of those deals where you like for me at least, I'm more than likely than read stuff about his legend and just forgot about this stuff. You know, he comes from a time way, way back, you know, but I've heard or read some stuff, but let's keep this going.
Pentathlon is an Olympic event that encompasses 10 different competitions all rolled into one. Created in 1911, Thorpe was the first person to ever receive gold at the event. The ability to win multiple skill-specific Olympic medals and dominate at the NFL level is deserving of this list already. But Thorpe did it without training, as he interchanged between the MLB and football.
Oh wait, man, this is a great commercial.
Ooh, I want to touch the chest.
To defeat your opponent.
I need a chest hand.
Former President Dwight Eisenhower broke a huge secret about Thorpe. He never practiced. He showed up and did things better than everybody else in his first time. Thorpe won at everything, including World Ballroom Dancing Championships. To understand his worth to football, look no further than the award given to the best college defensive back in the country each year, which is appropriately named the Jim Thorpe Award. A Native American from Oklahoma, the legend of Jim Thorpe has grown through generations. Because of his impact and excellence during the infancy of modern-day athletics, Thorpe became a legend whose tale will be told for years to come. Vernon Davis.
Let me stop this. They got Vernon Davis. This thing can't be in like some kind of chronological order. You know what I mean? They're not going, you know, from the worst of the bunch to the best of the bunch. They couldn't be doing that. But I didn't realize Thorpe was a Native American. That's interesting, but let's keep it going.
For a long time, tight ends in the NFL were thought of as an extension of the offensive line. Utility blockers that played their role within the offense. Once the likes of Tony Gonzalez and Kellen Winslow Sr. infiltrated the NFL as receiving threats, it was only a matter of time before someone like Vernon Davis came along. Davis absolutely dominated on the field at Maryland, while also showing his physical prowess. But before Davis left Maryland, he had set a school strength record for tight ends in bench press, squat, and power clean. But Davis didn't show what he was truly capable of until the NFL Combine. Vernon Davis wowed teams, clocking under 4.4 on the 40, leaping over 40 inches, and broad jumping nearly 11 feet. 6'3" and over 250 pounds. Davis's combine numbers were the only thing people talked about through draft night. He was drafted 6th overall by the San Francisco 49ers. 2009 was Vernon's breakout year, where he tied the season record for touchdown receptions by a tight end with 13. Davis was too fast, and he had too much leaping ability for linebackers, and was far too big and strong for defensive backs to handle at the catch point. Davis moved and caught the ball like a wide receiver, but possessed offensive lineman power. In Davis's illustrious career, year, he set the playoff tight end single-game receiving record, won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, and was named to an all-pro team. There may never be a tight end with Vernon Davis's physical prowess and athletic ability again. So, what do you think? Is there anybody we left off this list? Let us know in the comments section.
I'm gonna stop it right there. It's gonna end in another second anyway. But that was a very interesting list right there. Very, very interesting. Some names that I definitely expected to be on here, and a couple who I was just like, I didn't realize that Old Man Thorpe and some of these other names. But yeah, Bo Jackson, and they never did specify, that this was supposed to be the worst to the best. So they was just naming out the guys who are the 10 biggest freaks. But Bo Jackson, to me, in my mind, it's probably still going to be that number one dude, just because the elite level, and maybe like if Jim Thorpe lived in today's, in modern times, he'd get a little bit more celebrated. But yeah, I still for me, Bo Jackson, man, because he was tearing up the NFL in that little bit of time, and then having 30 home run and 100 RBI seasons with with Kansas City. You know what I mean? So it was crazy to me for me to see that. Even still to this day, not that somebody like Shohei Ohtani, is that his name, that plays for the Angels. He's not playing two sports, but he's playing two ways in a sport. You know what I mean? Him doing pitching and being a hitter at the same time. And I think that's a pretty amazing feat right there. I wish he wasn't on the Angels though. The Angels are they wasting him and Trout over there. But I would love to see those type of talents in meaningful games somewhere in the playoffs somewhere. It would be awesome to see Ohtani be in a World Series and hit bombs in the World Series and strike out 10 people, in the same series. I would love to. I'm waiting for that day. But yeah, no, this was a dope list. And but if anybody else out there has any other lists that they want me to check out, or just some athletes that you want to throw out there that feel like they deserve some recognition, I'm more than willing to do that. So I'm gonna get going. Before I do that, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button, hit the playlist option. I'll throw this in the one called entertainment reactions. Even though this, it's sports, of course, but sports is entertainment. But yeah, I'll throw it in that playlist, for now until I figure out what I want to do otherwise. But yeah, this will be in that. I do have playlists for a lot of other stuff, and mainly music at this point, but I'm building up on some other things as well, whether it be entertainment or, I have some NBA stuff that I reacted to, all that kind of stuff. So check out all that. The Cash App is on the screen, $ You Made Roscoe, for those who want to show their support or appreciation for the work being done on the page. There's that. And that's about all I have. I'm out of words, or nearly, but I will see you guys again very soon. So until next time, be safe and be good.